All right, all right. Good morning, or actually it's probably good afternoon to everybody. We're the last ones that moved into the noon time. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. If you're on YouTube and watching us after the fact, welcome to you too. This is TNT. It is the nation's longest running free coaching program for notaries. Imagine a mastermind room full of experienced professionals and curious learners, all here to help each other succeed. That's what you're stepping into. TNT is like the play-by-play of the notary business. We're here live every week to break down the plays, celebrate the wins, and coach you on the strategies that keep you moving forward. Please get in line to have your questions answered by raising your digital hand found at the bottom of your Zoom screen in the More section. While you're getting in line to have your questions answered, I have a few announcements. Jen isn't here, so I'll talk about it. She put out a new book. We're going to put the links in the chat for you. It's On the Move, Relationship Driven 5-Point Marketing System. If you haven't gotten it yet, you're missing out. Also, the NNA 2026 conference is coming. It's coming faster than you think. It'll be in May in Orlando, Florida. And you can get your tickets same price as last year, and they still have a payment plan available. And that early bird price goes away, I think, in February. I don't see anything to tell me that, but oh, it ends in January. Sorry, in January. Okay. I'm going to skip that. Jen Cooper, you have a Black Friday sale going on your website right now. Is that correct? Oh, I can't hear you though.
I mute myself. Yeah, I have a Black Friday sale on all of my courses. It's 60% off everything. And if people sign up now, they get that access a day earlier than the rest of the public. So
Fantastic.
it doesn't cost them anything to get on that list. They just get an email a day before on Thanksgiving. They'll get that link so they can
Okay.
Everybody else.
All right. So I think I got everything I needed these announcement sheets for.
Yes.
Okay. So the reason I'm talking to myself, people, is that I only could see 2 people. Now I've opened up the screen and I can see everybody's face. Now let me just look at you all. I love seeing you all, especially when I get to page 2. All right, those of you hanging, I see Celicia's on page 2. I wouldn't have known she was here. And Larry, yes. Who else is hiding back here? Let's see, quite a few of you actually. All right, I'll come back to page 1. Here's what today's going to look like, because today we have a special guest presenting. Oh, wait, that special guest is me. So I will be talking to you a little bit about Profit First, and it is a framework that I want to share with you that really was a game changer for me. And so, Lorraine, I know you already got your hand up and you're ready to go. Hold on a second here. Get her taken care of. So I'm going to allow a couple questions if somebody's already got their hand up, and then I'm going to move into talking about that framework called Profit First. Lorraine?
Hi there. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah. So hopefully it's a quick question for you. I do some work with an attorney and might need to go to court regarding a will. Okay. And so I often have, if the people can't provide their own witness, I will provide witnesses for a fee. So as I was talking to him today, he said, and I asked him about the witnesses. I said, do the witnesses need to appear as well? If I'm subpoenaed, he's not sure if I'll be subpoenaed. He said, possibly the witnesses will be subpoenaed. I'm just wondering how that works with your relationship with your friends or other notaries who are witnessing, and if they have to appear. I just feel now I'm a little uncomfortable about using my friends And also, if somebody just can't get somebody as witness, how do you handle that, Laura?
Well, first of all, none of mine have been ever asked to appear. First of all, second
Okay.
of all, I've been called on several times, but never to appear. It's only to confirm that I was there. It's a letter that I fill out like an affidavit that
Okay.
says, yes, I was there on the date and I saw him sign, and that was it,
Okay.
and sent them in. So I've done that on 3 different cases where that's happened, but I've not been asked to appear, and I've not had any witnesses be asked to appear. And usually they're not asked to appear unless unless they can't, there's something really different. I think that would be very strange and unique if they
Mhm.
would be asked to appear. I think the most would be they'd have an affidavit that they would have to have signed and notarized that could be submitted to the court if there had been no self-proving affidavit in the first place.
Right. Yeah. Because that's what they would have been signing as a self-proving affidavit. They would have done the
Well,
attestation.
they would have witnessed the will
Right.
and
And sign the attestation.
right. You would have, but if you were the notary, you wouldn't have been one of the witnesses. You would have been the notary for the affidavit.
Right. Right. But I would have been a witness on other documents. So, I mean, I would have notarized other documents. Okay. So basically, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have a big
Okay.
concern about it. Remember, it's only the will. And if you didn't notarize the will, then it's the
No,
trust, right? It's a whole trust that's at issue.
correct.
Right.
Okay.
And they are not involved in the trust. You are as the notary.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Actually, now that I think about it, I think it is just the will that's
Okay.
the issue. Yeah. Okay. So it might be an affidavit, and that's about it.
That's
Okay.
probably about it. I'm not guaranteeing 100%
Right.
they'd never be asked to appear. I'm just saying is that seems to be the norm. My experience when I want to verify the witnesses, they use an affidavit to be sent in.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
That's a big relief.
You're
I
welcome.
also, when I ask my friends and family to be to be witnesses, they're normally paid, but I also have them sign something that says they understand that if this will is contested, they may in fact be called to court. Because sometimes
Oh,
I'll forget to tell them, and I don't want them to be caught up later. It hasn't, of course, it hasn't happened yet, but
uh-huh.
one of the things I do for friends and family when they come and do witnessing
Okay.
for me.
All right. So you've just created a little document for
Just
them.
a little thing saying I
Oh,
understand that it's acting as a witness.
okay.
I may be called to court in contest of this will.
Mhm.
That's all it says. They
Thank
sign
you
it,
so
I
much.
keep it, and I just keep it labeled in a file for that signing that I did, so that if I'm ever called back for it, I have just to remind them they signed it if I ever have to assist
Okay.
in getting them called forward. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay.
Did anybody else have a question? No? Well, before I move on, let me just say my partner in crime is not with us today. Jen Neitzel needed to take care of personal business, so I won't have her with me, but I do have our 2 great support people who are helping us with the call today. Jen Cooper, she's pretending to be Jen Neitzel today, and then Matt Miller from California League of Independent Notaries. Both are here today. And so they might jump in and answer questions along with me. So let's get started. I want to tell you that when I started, oh, I just see the little ears. She's so cute. When I just started as a notary, and it was like yesterday, but actually it was in 2004. So we are talking over 20 years ago. I jumped in and I did loan signings. Like that was the only thing known to man. Because at that time, that's really what we did. I was going gangbusters, guys, from 2004 until 2008 happened. And anybody who's old enough to remember 2008 knows what happened. And so loan signings went kaput. I had Zippo signings, and I had to figure out a way to bring more business because I had already quit corporate world. I had a business, I sold that business, and now this was the business when that happened. And what I learned, besides how close I can come to losing my business, is that there were a couple of faulty things that I did that put me in that place. I probably would have been able to handle it better had I had done these things earlier on. But, back then I was learning as a new business owner myself. And one of those things was pricing strategy and understanding that my pricing strategy back then was how much does it pay? That was it. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm available. Instead of understanding everything that goes into that pricing and how to develop what your price range should be so that you're not upside down when you take a job. Um, Jobs are going to vary. And sometimes it was a great job and you made good money, and other times not so much. But on the whole, you should be making money because none of us are charities. We're in this to make a living, right? So the pricing strategy was a faulty thing that was going on. And so when I came back and was really, I developed what I call specialty work, and that's when I was doing trust work and hospital work. And I started doing bail bond work, just all kinds of different work other than loan signings until it came back in about 2012. And I realized that I needed a different pricing strategy. I needed a strategy that would include the hard costs of doing the work and the soft costs that we don't think about. I call that the overhead, right? Having a commission, E&O insurance, and other types of, subscriptions, community memberships, uh, resource books, just things that I don't think about because it's spread out over the entire business, not over a particular job. And so I needed to make sure that I included that in there as well, not just the hard costs that I could see in front of me for that job. The other thing that I did is that in my reading, I found out about Profit First, and that's Mike Michalowicz. Please don't ask me to spell his name, I cannot. But Mike Michalowicz has about 4 or 5 books out, and they're for entrepreneurs. And this one struck me because it wasn't about how to go get more work. It was really about how to manage the money that I had coming in. Because what I saw was when 2008 came, I didn't have a backup. I didn't have money for the rainy day. I didn't have that kind of support, financial support. And I thought, gosh, if this happens to me again, I've got to have a better way to handle it. And this system for me not only helped me prepare in case something like that were to happen again, it also helped me build that rainy day fund, build a savings account that was then I could invest with that money, and I could have my money making money. And so we work so hard as solopreneurs, particularly because we got to do everything, that I want to make sure, I want to share this with you because I want to make sure when you get money in that you can identify how it should be split up so that you get paid, your bills are paid, your liabilities like taxes are paid, and then you have money set aside. So the first thing in my framework was I needed to move myself from the bottom of the list to the top of the list. So the first thing is that I come first, I pay me first. Now that might only be 5%, and that could be 5% of an individual job. If it's a $100 job, that would be $5. If it was by the month and I made $2,000 in the month, then it would be 5% of that. So that comes off the top. And what is that? That's my reward for taking the risks and the chances and for funding my business to get it off the ground. All of that. This is my payback for me. It's what is going to support me in the future, because as that profit account builds, ultimately it will have enough that you'll take some of that to make more money. Some of that is earning high yield interest. Some of that is in the stock market. Some of that is in other areas that help me grow my money besides my actively working the business. The second layer, once I paid me for that part of it as the owner, and sometimes I call that dividends, right? That's what I get. That's my reward. Now, the second one, oh, I need to pay myself again. You guys ready? You get paid twice. Once is not enough. The first time, it's just a little bit. Again, it could be 5%. If you're starting out, it might be 2%. What I love is the percentage, because if I only make $100, it's only $5 I put away. But if I made $1,000, right, now it's a lot more. So it adjusts according to how your income flows. Some months you got the money, and other months you don't got no money, right? So it adjusts up and down very easily. You don't have to change it. It will change for you by setting a percentage. And less than 10%, somewhere in that range. I started with 5%. I moved it up to 10 because I've been doing it now for about 5 years. And so you can start with a much smaller percentage, even if it's only 1%, if it's only $1. The idea of having an account and moving it over is what is important. So my profit came off first. The next thing is I got to pay myself for doing the work, right? If I had to hire another notary to go take care of that job, I'd have to pay them. Why am I not paying me? So that's the next level. And that might be anywhere from, depending on if it's your only income versus you work another job or have other streams of income, then you don't have to rely as heavily on it. It could be 40 to 50%. For some of you, maybe it's a little more of whatever you took in. That is your payment for the labor, right? Doing the work yourself. So then what comes after that? Well, the next step in the framework is your liabilities. This is money that's not yours. This is the government's money. And that can be 15 to 18%, depending on what your business looks like. And that goes into its own account. And I'll talk more about what to do with some of these accounts. That goes into its own account so that if you're doing quarterly estimates, you can write that check and not flip out. Oh my God, I've got to write, a $1,500, $2,500, in my case, sometimes $8,000 tax bill. I gotta do that every quarter. So I want to make sure that I've got that money sitting there. And the way I do that is I take 15 to 18% of my money and I put it aside for that purpose. Yeah, I'll come back around to that. So that's your tax liability. If you have more than state, you have self-employment, state, and federal. If you have a city tax, I do have a city tax. It's so small, but I put it in there as well. Now, once we've paid ourselves for the profit, then we've paid ourselves for the labor. Now we've put aside for our tax liabilities. The next thing that would come out of that was what's left. What's left, that's what you use for your expenses. So you might only have 30% or 35% left to spend on your expenses. That might be your cell phone bill. That's your gasoline in the car. That might be your toner, your paper, right? Whatever your office expenses are to do the work. And if you find that you get down to expenses and maybe you only have 25%, well, maybe you're not buying something this month. Maybe that's going to be next month. Maybe you're coupon shopping, right? Squeeze the expenses. Don't squeeze yourself, because usually it's upside down and you paid everybody else and you see what's left and that's what you get. And that's the big mistake that I think people make, is that they pay themselves last instead of first. And so what happens is whatever's left, the scraps, that's what you live off of. And what happens is that your company becomes a money-eating machine. It just eats all your money all the time. You're putting all your money back into the business and you're not getting anything for yourself. Now, there's a couple of things that could be happening. It could be that you're too expensive for your business. If you want 70% of the money net to you, that your business may not be able to support that level. And that might be why you don't have enough money left to buy whatever it is you need to buy. Or it could be the other way around. You're just doing the 45%, but heck, your expenses are much bigger than the 35% you have left. Well, then your business is too expensive for you. And now you need to look at, where am I spending my money? How many subscriptions do I have? How many cases of paper do I really need? Right? All of the things that it's costing, or I think it's costing me to do business. And you can manage that. Managing the expenses is so much easier and better than cutting yourself out. Because you know what? At the end of the month, you're tired, you've worked hard, and then you don't get paid. That is not I wouldn't work for somebody else who worked me to death and then I didn't get paid either. No, that doesn't work for me. And that does not work for entrepreneurs. We need to make sure we take care of ourselves first. So just to reiterate, the framework itself for profit first starts out this way. Profit first goes into a separate account, and it can be anywhere less than 10%. And you can be as low as 1%. The second thing, pay yourself for the labor. Pay yourself some percentage of your work. And that could be somewhere between 40 and 50%, depending on how much. I do less because I teach. And so I don't have to rely as heavily on my business. And so I can put more in profit. I can put more in investment. The third thing is, make sure that you're putting aside for your tax liabilities. Don't wait till the end of the quarter to see you've got to write a big check. Have that money ready. And then the fourth one is, the scraps go to feed the business. That's what we're going to feed the business with. We're going to spend it on our expenses for that. And then you're going to manage that. Now, let's come back to profit, that profit account. So what happens? I keep piling stuff in there that's getting to be a bigger pile of money. What's happening with that? Well, a couple things. One is, if any of you have long-term debt, meaning you have credit cards you don't pay off in full every month, it means you might have a car payment. It means anything where you've got long-term debt that isn't done right away. That's where that money's going to start going to. You're going to start paying off that long-term debt. Eradicating long-term debt is really the key to freedom for us, and ultimately will give us money to do other things. So that's the first thing. Now, what if you don't have very much long-term debt, or you don't have any long-term debt? Fantastic. Now, what do I do with that money? Now, what you're going to do that money is, you're going to have that money make you more money. So that might be you're saving it in a high yield savings account or CD. And that money is sitting in there earning interest for you. When you have enough, you can pull aside from that. You've got your rainy day fund. So if you eradicate your debt, that's the first thing. The second thing is, you need a backup fund, because you know what? Business for us is not always steady, right? Sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not. So then you want to be building that. So you're eradicating debt, then you're building a rainy day fund. What happens? And my rainy day fund happens to be in high yield because I don't want to be touching it. It's for rainy days. I make it hard to get to that money. The second thing is, when I've got those two things in control, what's the third thing I want to do? Well, I want to make more money with the money that I've already made. And so that might mean I move it into stock. A couple things I've done. Let me see. This last year, I gave out a micro loan, and so I'm making interest on that loan to that person. I have CDs because the interest rate was really pretty good. Now they're all going to come due in 26, and I got to come up with another plan with that. But I found different ways to invest my money so it will keep making money as I'm trying to make new money, right? This is money I've already made. And I think that's important. If we only look at the income each month, and we are not looking at what wealth feels like. Wealth doesn't happen because of your revenue. Wealth happens when you're building it, and you're building it outside of that business because the business gave it to you, and now you're putting it in places that it can continue to earn money. And I think that's, we're so concerned about getting that next job and paying our bills that I think we forget sometimes to look at the bigger picture. And what happens 21 years down the road? Okay, I'm retirement age. If I hadn't been putting into IRA, if I had not been doing all of this, I wouldn't be ready to retire. I would be in a position like most people are at this age, my age, and they haven't been doing those things. And so I'm hoping some of you are already doing these things, if not all of them, at least some of them, because it will make a big difference. And at first, it didn't seem like I was doing anything that different because the amount of money I brought in was the same. That didn't change. My income stayed the same. But what happened is I had these accounts building, and now I had wealth building in the background. And that's what was really different for me. The other thing I want to tell you about the profit, this profit account is so multi-talented, is that because I'm the owner, remember I used that word dividends? Well, every quarter, I'm going to take a piece of that, and that is going to be when I get my dividends. And I get to use that any way I like. I don't have to invest it back in the business. I could use it to go on a trip. I can use it for any purpose that I choose. Now, some of you on this call remember what happened in September. September, we went on a cruise. And you know what? That was 2 years worth of putting aside through my profit process so that I had enough money to pay for that cruise. So I didn't put it on a credit card. I paid it outright. How did I do that? Because I knew that's what I was going to use my dividends for. And so I put the dividends in its own little cup, so to speak. The other thing that I think's important about this whole framework is that you need to get comfortable talking about money, looking at your money. I mean, I go in every week and I look at every account I have. How much money is in each one? Is that too much? Is that too little? Do I need to move stuff around? Make friends with your money. It's okay to like money because money gets me where I need to be. It's a tool that helps me have a nicer life, helps me enjoy my grandchildren, helps me be prepared for a time when I don't want to be working so hard. And that's what I would love to see for you, is that you have a framework in place that helps you move in that direction as well. And so anyways, that's what I did with my payouts to me. It was 2 years worth of them for that one trip. So I love this idea of pay me first and pay me again, right? Pay me for the profit that the business is making, and then pay me for the work that I'm doing. So I bring this to you because you know what? My secret sauce. The economy is a little crazy. Business is kind of crazy. The whole world's kind of crazy. I don't care what side. You know what? It's not blue or red when it comes to money, right? Everybody has issues with money. And so I just thought the timing was great for you to think about, how do you treat the money coming in? First of all, do you have a good pricing strategy? And then once you've got that nailed down, are you dividing your money into separate accounts? I divide mine into separate accounts. If I had it all in one account and I looked and I saw, wow, I've got all this money in there, but it's not all mine. My liabilities are in there. My expenses are in there. I pull everything aside. My personal stuff, my 40%, that goes to my credit union. My Profit First goes over to an online banking. I have it going everywhere so that when I look at my business checking, I know that's the money I have to spend. That's how much money I have to spend for my business. And when I look at my personal checking, and I do this with my personal checking, because I told you I teach. When I get a check from the NNA, I take 10% of that check, boom, I move it over into a savings account. I do the same thing, Profit First. And by using a framework like this, it can build your wealth in the background while you're doing what you're doing. However, you're getting your jobs, your marketing, when the money comes in, the way you manage it will make a huge difference for you. I think the secret sauce that I have is because I'm willing to divide it into different accounts. I make money that I don't need right now harder to get to. Tax liabilities, it is not right there in the same place where my personal account is. My profit, they're in online accounts. So I made it just a little more friction to get to money that isn't meant for me to spend today. So that's the secret sauce for me. I see it's 12:45, so I'm leaving us close to a half an hour for questions. And I see Celicia has her hand up. If you have questions about that framework I just described for you, I'd love to hear them. If you have questions that have nothing to do with the framework I talked to, because you came with a question already in mind, and it's more specific to a notary job, I'm happy to address those as well. But thank you for letting me talk to you a little bit about how that has worked for me. I wouldn't recommend it if I didn't do it myself. And it has really paid off. And I think it'll pay off for you as well. All right. Thank you very much. So Alicia, what's your story?
Well, I found that the easiest way to save money, it is almost like, what was that guy for the Ronco guy? Set it and forget it. You know, I mean, I have a little thing. It's not a lot of money. It's $25.
Yeah.
And I just have it automatically take $25 out of every single account I have and
Yeah.
put it in savings. Now, it doesn't mean that I'll never go grab that money and use it, but I've got that money set aside. And that is just one of the greatest things, is that little piece. And you say, well, $25 isn't much. You're right. $25 isn't much, but $1,200 is, and that's what you get after a year of not touching it. So, you know, you got 3 or 4 accounts that you know, and really it is painless. You don't know it's missing. You don't know it's gone. You just set it and forget it to auto deduct $25 every Friday.
I love that. And before I had my own business, I did pull out money for my kids for college. I had money that would be withdrawn automatically when I worked in the corporate world. And that's part of the first 2 years for each kid. That's how I paid. I had saved up 2 years worth of college for each kid while I was in the corporate world. And then when I became an entrepreneur and my husband already was one, we paid the other 2. So by the time our kids graduated, they graduated debt free. No loans, no grants. We paid every penny ourselves. And when they graduated, they had no debt. Again, it's just about managing, being able to see the bigger picture and having a vision. The vision is, I want to be wealthy when I retire. The vision is, I didn't want my kids to be saddled with debt when they graduated college. Those were my visions. And the plan is the framework I gave you today. All right, Helena.
Hi, I'm sorry I don't have my camera on. However, I do appreciate you bringing up this topic. With me being a new business owner, you know, after retiring from my job after 34 years, this is very new to me. And so with me looking at what I have, it's pretty much going into um, classes, resources. All my money so far has been going into everything else. So I don't see that profit at this moment, but I do anticipate the time that I will. So that's not an uncommon thing, right? It's not uncommon to come in as I am to have more finances going into resources, classes, trainings, and so forth than what I have for income.
You know, it is common for brand new people just starting a business. There's so many expenses. They're trying to learn the business. They're trying to buy tools. They're trying to get everything done at once. But what I will tell you is this, is that if it causes you difficulty in paying your personal bills, right, your rent and other things, then you need to slow down on the expenses for your business.
Oh,
Right? You don't have to do everything all at once at the same.
okay.
And if I started all over again,
Mhm.
I would tell you that I would have taken it a little slower than what I did. I, bulldozed right in there, and I spent the vacation money that the corporate had paid me out that I had. I think I had 4 weeks of vacation, so I had about a month to get it going, and I spent it all.
Oh,
So I think it's a matter of, if you already had money behind you before you started this business, you could
mhm.
move a lot faster. Some people start this business and they don't have any money. They have zero to invest in their business, right? They just need to get the jobs and need to get money coming in their home. But I think it's important, no matter how much you're relying on this income, that you start the practice when you don't have money. Start the practice now when you don't have a lot of money, because it'll be easier for you when you do have money. People think, oh, when I'm rich, then I'll be able to donate more money. You know what? I had to start donating money when I really hardly had any money to donate. So that became my practice, right? And so that's what I think is important. You should take a look at how you're spending your money. And if you don't have any money for you, I think that's a concern. And I'd be happy to talk to you about it offline. You can call and set an appointment with me. It's free. Go to calendly.com/ my last name Biewer and set up an appointment with me. And I'll talk to you more specific about your situation rather than generally, and I can help you out.
Thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
that.
You're welcome. Jen?
Yeah, we have a question in the chat and she can't raise her hand right now. She came in late and asked what other accounts she should have besides checking and savings.
Okay,
I don't
so
know if you wanted to do a quick
yeah,
overview.
quick. I have a business checking. That's the leftover money, and that's what I use to pay my expenses. I have a profit first account. I have a liability tax account. I have a personal checking account and savings account at my credit union, and that's where the money that I pay me for my work that I do, that's where that goes. So I have a separate account for each one of those. I don't just have a checking and savings. So I do recommend that you have at least four, maybe 5 accounts. And there are banks. Credit union doesn't charge me for my extra accounts. I even have a business account with my credit union now. They just started that. So you can find, if your bank charges you a monthly fee, that's not the right bank for you, right? You want to find a bank who's going to pay interest on your money and who's not going to charge you any money to do business with them. And that's what I looked at. Another way I made money is I use my credit card for business, right? I pay it off every month, but I make on average around 2.5 to 3%. I use the Costco one, and it's 5% for gas if you pump at their gas pump. Okay, I'll take that 5% because I go through a lot of gas, right? And by the time I get to the end of the year, I have a personal card and a business card, and I earn about $1,000 in rebate. So that means I start in January with an extra $2,000 I did not have. I didn't have to do anything. I was just using it to buy what I already buy. So think about the ways you can actually generate extra passive income.
Nice, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have a question? No questions. Money is such a hot topic. Well, I don't know about you. I like money. Oh, one of the things that I did in my full presentation, somebody put their hand,
Rachel.
Rachel, give me just a second. I wanted to say what it was. I'll let Rachel go first.
Well, my question, sorry, I don't have much of a voice. Um, would you suggest reading that book then, Profit First?
Yeah, I think it's a great book. I got it on Amazon. Do I have it right here? Oh, here it is, right
The
here.
book link is in the chat. If you guys scroll up a little bit, I'll see if I can grab it and bring it back down.
So it looks like this.
Yep.
Okay,
Michael Vitalo, he does like the toilet paper, entrepreneur. He's got 4 or 5 books out. So I think it is a good book.
okay,
This is going to be more than what you're going to employ as a notary, right? This is a little bit more than that, because he talks about when you have employees, he's talking about multi-6-figure businesses. So, but what I talked to you about today, I took from here because that very specifically applies even when you're a one-person shop.
okay. Yeah, because I'm really bad with my money, so I
Well,
think
have
that
a
would
plan.
probably help me then.
Have a plan. One of the things when I presented this in Seattle the first time, that was the first time I did that. I talked about having to change my mindset about money. That was the first thing I had to do. And my old mindset was, where did money come from? Where did my ideas about money come from? Who taught me about money? Who taught me to like it or hate it or have ideas about it? In the chat, who taught you about money? Somebody taught it to you. You weren't born with it. Yes. Yeah, my parents, friends, family, teachers, religious school leaders. We have grown up, whether or not we realize it, with ideas about money. And one of the things that I'm going to give you a couple phrases, and what I'd love for you to do to put in the chat, that way more of you can participate, is here are some phrases that I grew up with, and some of you may have. So the rich are, what do you think the rich are? Put that
Richer.
missing word. The rich are what?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are, because they're greedy. People think the rich people are greedy people. Money doesn't grow on what?
Trees.
That's right, guys. And I'm not made of what? Our parents tell us, I'm not made of money. Yeah. When you see something you want, the first thought is, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. Money is hard earned. Money is the root of what? Root of all evil. That's right. So look at all this negativity we have that we might have grown up with about money. And so that causes a scarcity type thinking. And if I talked about you the way we just talked about money, would you want to hang around? I wouldn't want to be around you. And so these negative thoughts tend to push money away from us. So I think the book's a good idea. I also think that you need to take a look at what your mindset is around money itself. I was surprised. I really didn't think I thought that way. And then I had a rude awakening. So, but once I did, I was able to rewrite my thoughts about that and have a new mindset about that. So now I don't need to wait till someday to support my favorite causes. I can write checks today because I'm not worried that that money I gave away to them is never coming back, that I don't have any more money coming in. I believe that money flows and money grows, and money makes more money. And it helps all of us as we move it around, right? As it circulates. Okay. Oh, so it's 1 o'clock. So we still have a little bit of time if somebody has questions. But Matt, I see you have a roundtable. Do you have one coming up this week?
Yes, we will have our November roundtable this Thursday, the 6th at 5 p.m. If you already signed up, you'll get a reminder email that day. If not, you can sign up for the roundtable at
The link is in the chat.
calnotaries.org/events.
Yep, the link is
It's
already in the
free.
chat, guys.
And this month, we're going to talk about the new California ID that you might be seeing out there. I know I've seen it a couple of times already. And a few other things on the docket as well. So stop by to learn about that. And then also to continue on the money conversation, Laura, a few weeks ago, closed out our call with the following. She said, "My income is consistently increasing." And since then, throughout the day, I have been just silently reciting it to myself. And I'm happy to report that for the month of November, I hit goal. I
Yay.
beat last year's same month,
Yay.
and I beat the previous month. So it works, guys. It works.
It does. But you got to work it.
You got to work it.
Got to work it. Put that good energy out there. The universe loves speed, loves energy. So yes, from scarcity to abundance. Absolutely. Oh, whoa. I got excited with that. Thank you, Matt. Thanks
You're
for
welcome.
I'm like,
Thank
oh,
you.
dang it, you wrote down what I said. Yay. I'm glad it worked. All right. Anybody else want to contribute or ask a question? Doesn't have to be about money. It can be about anything else. I love that sound. It like goes pop. Faith?
Hi, I meant to tell you that last week. I said the same thing about my money increasing. And as soon as I signed off, an attorney called me to, and I had been trying to get in touch with this attorney for a year. And so he called, and yes, I meant to tell you that, but we left early last week. But yeah, I said that also. And so it does work. It works.
It works. Anybody else? I'm here till 1:15, so I'm happy to wait. Hi, Joanne, out in Washington.
Hey, Laura, that was a great share of information. So helpful. Yes, this is along of money, I guess, and pricing. When it comes to attorneys, so it's a little situation where there's like a satellite attorney, but the main billing is in a different state, so they want you to just invoice or payment link, whatever. So I guess, I don't know, do you give attorney firms discounts?
Well, I'm not, that question is not consistent with what your introduction is. So could you tie that together a little bit better? So you're talking about attorneys, and you're talking about sometimes they want to use a link like a Square link or Stripe link or whatever to pay. The question about do I give discounts to attorney, how does that fit into that? Or is that just the question?
Well, I guess let me back up a little bit, because you know how we're supposed to share the amount of what the signing is, but unfortunately, as a notary, and if it's an appointment with an attorney ran, you don't have privy to the documents, so you don't see how many notarizations there are,
Right.
ahead of time to quote them. And if their billing person is not there and out of state, the remote,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You don't know right ahead of time. So, the amount has just come up a little, probably more than expected because of so many signatures. But then again, I mean,
That one attorney,
I'm sorry, what was that?
that one attorney that had so many signatures, the witnesses.
Yeah.
So that's one attorney, and I don't think that's typical of attorneys. I've been working with attorneys for 15 years, a lot of different ones. And they're on occasion, I get, 10, 12, but most of them for trust work sit at about the 6 to 8 level, times one person or times two. So I do quote a flat fee. I don't know what's in it. I have a pretty good idea from my experience. And if I get something that's beyond what I think is the norm, then I'm going to say something. So for instance, I have a long time attorney that I work with, and hers are almost always six, whether it's one person or two, it's like 6 documents. But on occasion, she'll have an extra 1 or 2. I don't care. It's long-term value with her. I don't charge any more or less. I charge her the same amount every single time. However, if there was like 15 of them or 18 of them, which is 3 times the norm, I would be having a conversation about that in particular. All right. But all the rest, I let that variation go. And I just say, look, here's my fee. Sometimes I made really good money. And once in a while, not so much. So I don't feel that I have to know the exact number of notarizations because I understand what trusts are about. Unlike loan signings that are just all over the place, right? Seller's packet different from purchase refi, different from a VA one versus modifications. Those are big jumps. But in the trust world, it tends to stay right about here, and then you get an unusual one. Now, that may be her norm, and so you need to have a different pricing structure or strategy for her. That doesn't mean you got to do it with everybody. I don't think it's a problem to say, look, I charge $175 or I charge $200 for a full-on living trust presentation. That includes all the documents, that includes me being a witness, that includes my travel.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
No, I just threw those numbers out. I'm not saying those are her numbers.
Right.
I
Yeah.
just want people to realize that when you're doing trust work, it is pretty stable. You'll pretty much see the pattern is almost the same all the time. And then you'll just get somebody who's like way out there, an outlier. And so you address the outlier, but everybody else, you can be comfortable quoting.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Gosh, we might.
Well, nobody's asking questions. You guys check the chat. I'm putting a bunch of links and information in there as we get ready to close out.
All right. I hope everybody heard her say that. She just put a boatload worth of links in here for you guys. And to save the chat, where are those 3 dots? Is it up at the top? I don't know where it is. Oh yeah, it's up at the top. It says save chat.
Yeah, click
top
on
right-hand side of the chat window.
It just says save chat. So if you want to save all those links, there you go. All right, let's talk about next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we're going to be back. Same time, same station. Jen will be back as well. And unless anybody has any other questions, then I'm going to close us out. Today, I leave you with this. I deserve the best, and I accept the best right now. I am mentally and emotionally equipped to enjoy a prosperous and loving life. It is my birthright to deserve all good. I claim my good now. Claim yours. All right, guys. I will see you. I hope you come Saturday. Some of you are on my Saturday call. Please come Saturday morning, 8 a.m. to Laura's Inner Circle, and have a prosperous week. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.